Welcome back to Tipsy Whiskey Shenanigans. I'm Steven, and tonight, whenever the heck you're watching this, we are getting into my top bourbons to make cocktails out of. But before we do that, please do me that favor, like, comment, and subscribe. That helps us out a ton, and we seriously appreciate the support. But let's get in today's video. So again, we're talking about bourbons and cocktails, and I'll be 100% honest, bourbon is not always my go-to for cocktails, but sometimes I am feeling bourbons in a cocktail. Again, typically go for rye, but these are going to be the bourbons I gravitate towards for cocktails. And all of these are going to be under $60 because I don't really see a point in, spending a bunch of money on a bourbon that you're going to put into a cocktail. So I typically try to keep it under $60. That being said, there is something to be said. The higher quality whiskey you use, the higher quality cocktail you're going to do. But again, some of these higher proof ones that are like 50, 60 bucks, I still think stand up just as good as some of the $100 bottles out there. So again, it's your money, your choice, but these are going to be the ones I gravitate towards. And first one up is going to be Wild Turkey 101. You've seen it before, you know it. You know I love this bottle. This is one of my constant daily drinkers. I absolutely freaking love Wild Turkey 101. I think it's a really, really great bourbon. There is a nice little bit of cherry in there, vanillas, oak, a little bit of that baking spice, cinnamon. Like, it's just an overall really well-rounded Kentucky bourbon. And it's at 101 proof, which makes it really, really good because that proof definitely stands up in cocktails. And it's also $20 in my area, so it's not going to break the budget at all. I have a handle back there behind me. I don't know if y'all can see it. It's right there that I use for making cocktails because I got that handle for like 35 bucks. So absolute steal, great for making cocktails. And after that one, another Kentucky bourbon. We got Four Roses Single Barrel. This is one of my favorite, just overall, like sub $40 bourbons. I absolutely freaking love this bottle. It is 100 proof and it's Four Roses, and Four Roses does a little bit different stuff with their mash bills, which really creates a spicier type bourbon flavor profile. So they have spicier, more herbal, more minty bourbons. And going back to the whole why I like rye in cocktails better, because spice stands up in cocktails better. So I think this is a really, really good bourbon to be putting in your cocktails because, again, with that little bit of herbal spiciness going on, it stands up really freaking well. And it's 100 proof, $40. Again, it's going to make a little bit better of a cocktail than that Wild Turkey 101. I just know you can't always spend $40 on a mixer every single day. And after that one, going very hard into the proof, 1792 full proof. This bottle is absolutely freaking fantastic when it comes to cocktails. They are made with Barton juice, so 1792 Barton. I really like Barton's flavor profile. It has this nutty banana thing going on, kind of like Old Forester does. And this is 125 proof for like 50 freaking dollars. So really, really high proof, lot of alcohol going in there, and that means you can add borderline as much freaking water as you want, and this is still going to be a robust, strong bourbon inside of your cocktails, which is absolutely fantastic because sometimes you can add too much water and it really waters it down, or like a low proof whiskey is just going to kind of be super thin and like non-existent in a whiskey, where you do that 1792 full proof, that is going to freaking show up no matter what. And after that one, another Kentucky distillery. This one's going to kind of be a twofer. We'll call it Beam Products. So Knob Creek 9-year-old. So this is going to be 120 proof Beam juice for like around like 50 bucks. I absolutely love this. And Old Granddad 114. These two are some of my favorite Kentucky bourbons to be turning into cocktails, just because Beam has this nuttier, earthier flavor profile that I think stands up really freaking well in cocktails. And they're higher proof, just like the 1792. So you're still going to get that robust bourbon flavor profile, even with adding a lot of sugar and water to your cocktails. So I almost always do the Knob Creek over the Old Granddad until recently. I just did a video where I was like, oh, hey, I have to dust this off. If you look back, it's the most previous video I did. I dusted this off over the weekend. Man, oh man. this made some really great freaking cocktails. So this is super underrated as a cocktail mixer in my opinion. So I really think if you're going to be making a cocktail, Old Granddad 114, and also in my area, it's like 20 bucks. So it's an absolute freaking steal at that price point. Makes fan-freaking-tastic cocktails. And after that one, going a little bit different, a little bit off the beaten path that I've been traveling on so far, Maker's 46. Maker's 46 is one of the few wheated bourbons I like, and this is the only one on this list that is under 100 proof because this is 94 proof. But the reason I like this one for cocktails is that mouthfeel. Maker's 46 has wheat as the second dominant grain in the actual mash bill. So with that, you usually get a softer whiskey, but because of that, seemingly you get a better mouthfeel. And that's the one thing this Maker's 46 has in freaking spades. The softness does kind of make it a little bit disappear in the cocktails as well as the like lower proof. But because of that mouthfeel, man, it really stands up to a lot of those cocktails. Not a very heavy cocktail. Like this is an old-fashioned type cocktail for me. Like this is, I'm just adding sugar and simple syrup and bitters and like calling it a day, so on and so forth. I'm not trying to water this down insane. I'm building this in glass rather than, you know, a mixing glass where it's going to water it down even more. So you kind of have to be a little bit extra careful with that one. But I think it does stand up really, really well if you make it the right way. And again, that mouthfeel really does add some quality to an old fashioned. And last but not least, my personal favorite on this list, Still Austin Cash Strength. Still Austin is one of my favorite Texas bourbons. They do it a little bit different. Texas, when you do Texas bourbon, you're going to get this little Texas funk, this grassiness, this corniness, like youthfulness type notes. Like it's an aggressive youth. I like it. Not everyone likes it. We call it the Texas funk. You're going to get it, and you're going to find it in this bottle too. But they do, I believe it's their still. Their still's a little bit different than your average pot still down there. So because of that, it makes a really cleaner Texas whiskey. And that kind of makes it taste like an in-between of like a Kentucky, Indiana, and a Texas whiskey. So it's kind of this hybridized, this blend of it. And one of my biggest complaints with using Texas whiskeys in cocktails is sometimes that funk can get really, really strong and then it just becomes a funk cocktail. But this one, on the other hand, because it's not as funky and not even remotely as close and funky as some of those other Texas ones, this one, it kind of just adds a little bit of that to a cocktail, but doesn't really overwhelm the flavor profile with that. So I think this stands up really, really well and adds that little bit of Texas intrigue to a cocktail. And it's also 118 proof for like $49.99 in my area. So absolute steal. That one is my personal favorite because again, I think it adds some extra intrigue, but also stands up really well. It has a lot of the things on all these other ones that I really like, but it's a little different all the same. And that could just be because I am a Southwest aged whiskey kind of guy. I mean, I live in Arizona. I work for a craft distillery here. Like that's just kind of my loophole, but I really, really like that. That being said, that is a wrap for today's video. Please do me that favor, like, comment, and subscribe. That helps us out a ton, and we seriously appreciate the support. Let me know down below what you thought about my bottles, and also what would be some of your whiskeys that you would like to do. Like, what are some of your bourbons that you really like to make cocktails out of? Also, check out the Facebook, Instagram, and the Patreon. Links for all that stuff are down there below. That is a wrap for today's video. Cheers, y'all. We'll see you later.